You know, it was just a few days ago that President Trump was really joking at the Gridiron dinner that he loves chaos in the White House, referring to potential shakeup there of certain staff members. Is this the kind of chaos, though, that the White House wants?
Well, it may not be chaos. It may be the beginning of a Republican civil war. Because you had the factions of the Republican Party since Trump's election being held together by the promise of tax cuts and tax reform. So you had Main Street and Wall Street Republicans and Trump and the Tea Party all on the same page. Now that tax reform is done, you see that was binding the Republican Party together is gone. And this may be just the beginning of the civil war that's coming.
But now that tax reform is done, the benefits of tax reform don't just go away overnight. I mean, the corporates are going to get those benefits, and I have to wonder if that's one reason why markets may not be as concerned as they were, let's say, back in the Charlottesville incident, just given the threat that Gary Cohn could leave at that time, because they're saying Gary Cohn has achieved what he set out to do.
Well, you had a nice balance, if you could call it that, in the White House between what they refer to as the globalists and the nationalists. Right. Now the nationalists are clearly in the driver's seat, and you've got a trade war coming of which the U.S. has no legal right to take. Because remember, President Trump took this under the national security exemption to the WTO. But now they're saying, oh, well, we'll give you exemptions, NAFTA partners, Canada and Mexico, if you give us concessions. EU will give you exemptions if you give us concessions. Then it's not a national security issue. So now you have no basis for this trade war that's coming, and it's going to get worse, not better.
You think it's going to get worse with NAFTA specifically? Because we have been tracking the Forex moves, particularly with the Mexican peso today, the Canadian dollar, a bit of an uptick in the greenback against those currencies. Do you think investors are worried that this is just a preamble, that perhaps if the nationalists really are winning out, forget about a negotiation, we could be talking about a real change here when it comes to NAFTA?
If the steel tariffs go forward, and there's every reason to believe that they are, there's no one in the White House now to stop them. Cohn tried, failed, and resigned. The Congress really doesn't have the ability to do this. So those 232 steel tariffs go in. What does that do to Mexico and Canada in the NAFTA negotiations? The EU has very smartly, from a political perspective, said, we're going to start targeting very politically sensitive trade goods in the U.S. We're going to go after Mitch McConnell and bourbon in Kentucky. And that's what's going to happen.